SprintCarUnlimited.com. Coming to you from Eldora Speedway, night before the Kings Royal winner, Rico Abreu. Rico, we talked last night. Things just keep getting better. You were a little off late last night, but boy, you were good. You were on top of your game all night.
Yeah, these guys, they just really went to work today, and we, moved things around in the balance of our car, and just really, Ricky got the ground clearance of the car. Just, it was really impressive just how the speeds were tonight at Eldora and how fast my car was. And even on the starts, I just really focused on making sure I got good launches, and something that I feel like we didn't have as good last night. So tomorrow's a big day. Going into the Kings Royal, we get to choose when we qualify. I think the biggest thing is, just getting into that feature tomorrow night, 40 laps, and dissecting it, lap by lap. I really just think about my car and 10 extra laps from tonight and how my car would have played out tonight. We ran a few things differently with some wheels and tire pressures and wings. So, it's just really want to just get the car up to speed and get it running on the top. I feel like I gave that up last night, on the second half restart and allowed the 57 to get by me and control the race.
Track conditions are a little treacherous out there. We've seen a lot of crashes. How do you kind of tackle this thing? Obviously you don't want to give up the lead. You want to protect. You want to go fast and all that. But there's some dips out there. Yeah.
There's a whoop section through turn one that you have to manage. Especially racing guys and racing hard. The intensity of sprint car racing is very high right now. It's always high, but I feel like it's extremely high right now. We're at Eldora Speedway. The speeds are extremely fast. The competition is as good as it gets here, and it's just you got to be on your A game, and getting through turn one is the most important part of your night, and you got to do it a few times, not just once. So just looking at it, I think the balance of our car, I get through the things we did differently tonight. I can get through the holes a little bit better, and it's just a matter of getting that first lap in and getting up to speed and making sure we start up front tomorrow night.
Fast all night. You laid down an incredible lap in time trials, put you up front all night. You were able to take advantage of that. And how important was it just track position tonight?
Yeah, track position with the speeds of the track. You needed to get some sniffs of air, and I could tell the 57 was coming through the field, and I knew he was just having really good restarts. It was gonna be really hard to run guys down on those speeds, and everyone just kind of flat-footing it on the cushion. But I'm thankful I got the best crew in the business working on my car, starting with Ricky Warner, Zach Middlebrooks, and Brady Forbrook, and they just make incredible decisions for me to go out there and be really comfortable at those speeds.
Last thing, tomorrow's a big night, like you said, Kings Royal. What does that race mean to you?
I think about it every single day. I know I'm not owed, but I work really hard, and I just know that these races are earned. So you earn them in the race shop, you earn them with the chemistry in your team, you earn them with the presentation of your race car out on the racetrack, and then you just know that you can't win every race, but all you can do is try to put yourself in position to win those races, and that's the biggest things I focus on with my team.
Congratulations on another one.
Thank you.
SprintCarUnlimited.com, coming from Eldora Speedway. We're here with the winning crew chief, Anthony Macri. Just won the Kings Royal, Joe Mooney. What's this moment like for you to crew chief a car that wins $200,000  42nd annual Kings Royal?
It's pretty crazy. I think we were probably parked about 2 spots over in, what was that, 2019. Got to crew on that car with Brad Sweet. Thinking of Brad right now, the rest of the guys this week. Man, it's a roller coaster of emotions this week. Seeing some of your buddies get hurt. Just want to shout out to all those guys and say we're thinking about them.
How far has Anthony come as a driver since you've been here to get to this moment? Maybe he wasn't ready for it when you first got here, but boy, he is now. I thought the 5th place finish at Knoxville Nationals last year was big. I thought his performance at Beaver Dam was big. But to culminate with a Kings Royal like this, I mean, what are your thoughts on him? Just how far he's come?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. When I came here, it was just, oh, that's the kid that pounds fence down at Port Royal. Now I think we've won more races on the bottom at Port Royal. The other night, we passed the majority of the cars to get to second on the bottom. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty impressive. The patience and just the ability to back the car down and run the bottom is really impressive.
How did you get him comfortable at Eldora? Because it was a car thing for a lot of, and here he comes second in the Joker's jackpot, wins the King's Royal. I mean, what did you maybe do to get him so comfortable here? Because it was a place he admitted he wasn't comfortable coming here.
Man, I don't know. We just keep working at the car. You pick up things that apply from other places. This is a unique place. I don't know if there's anything to pinpoint it, but confidence is everything. Just confidence in general. It doesn't matter if you're at Eldora or if you're at Path Valley or whatever. Once you start believing in yourself and believing in the car, confidence is everything.
For moving forward now, what do you think this does for Anthony's career? He's not the most confident guy, even though
Man, I don't know. He made a comment to me about something we changed with the car when he came in from the heat race, and basically said if we would have done that on whatever day the Joker's jackpot was, we would have won that race too. So when he said that, I felt pretty good about tonight, and I knew he was in a good headspace about tonight. So, it was a good feeling.
What'd you say to him under the red flag?
Man, I just knew that Rico was running the bottom, middle of 3 and 4. I knew we were really good at 1 and 2 up top. I felt like we could maneuver. I knew he had to slide himself there in 1 and 2 because I didn't think that anybody was going to be able to rip around him, and I knew we were taking off really well on restarts. So he took the air off Rico's nose there, getting into 1, and that was pretty big. I felt good once we got going there and watched the first lap or two that as long as the W-Link held up and we didn't get into the wall anymore, we were going to be all right.
What were the last couple laps like for you, and also when he took the checker?
Man,
you're pretty reserved.
I still don't know. Still probably going to take a day or two to sink in. I mean, it's cool. It's definitely a good feeling. We still got a shitload of fans out here. Fans were chanting Posse in the stands. So that's pretty badass. I mean, it's pretty cool to know, that somebody outside, there's all this shit going on with High Limit and Outlaws and, whatever. And, well, neither one of them won tonight. So I think, the more we sit around, but it's going to be back to work on Tuesday. We'll enjoy the shit out of tonight, drink a lot of beer, and tomorrow we'll be back after it, getting ready for Lernerville on Tuesday. And we got a monster, this don't go away, it don't change. We got a huge week in PA, and then you go right to Knoxville. So it's game on. Can't relax just because you won this one. Don't mean you're going to do shit at the next one. So stay on the gas and keep digging.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Welcome to this post-Kings Royal edition of the SprintCarUnlimited.com live show. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I know it's a special Monday offering. I will be at Lernerville tomorrow night, so I figured I would move it. So again, thank you to everybody who calls in and people in the chat. We have a lot to talk about, obviously, but before we get to the chat and the calls, as usual, we're going to go over some storylines from the week, and it's all about the Kings Royal. And Anthony Macri brought the crown back to central Pennsylvania, led all 40 laps in what I would call probably an unexpected, maybe an upset win. He really was never challenged over the race distance. Brian Brown got beside him a couple times on restarts. Rico Abreu had him in his sights, but he really couldn't do anything with Macri once the race got going or in traffic. And, I kind of chuckled a lot this week after, of course, he finished second in the Joker's jackpot and won the Kings Royal. There were a lot of people who said that, he couldn't win outside of central Pennsylvania. And I guess he proved them wrong by beating the best drivers in sprint car drivers in the world and winning a crown jewel. So I'd say the concrete kids all grown up. Moving on, unfortunately, we had some vicious crashes at Eldora last week, and it really hurt the top of the high limit hierarchy and their point standings. Tyler Courtney suffered a broken back. He had surgery. He's expected to make a full recovery, but he's out for the season. Aaron Reitzel on Friday night was running second in the night before the Kings Royal and crashed in turns 1 and 2, suffered a fractured foot. We don't know how bad that is. Brad Sweet, Saturday night during his heat race, flipped in the same spot, again, all in turns 1 and 2, and he had to go to the hospital as well. Luckily, all his scans are negative, and it's just a matter of how long he's going to be out. Obviously, I know he had to get some stitches and had some other bumps and bruises, but we'll see when he returns. None of those guys obviously will be back at Lernerville. The 49 and the 87 will take medical provisionals, which states that for 10 days, however many races in those 10 days, which is only one because High Limit runs at Lernerville and then they're off 3 weeks until they go to the West Coast. But those teams will be able to, it's whatever their average finish is, +5 or -5, however you want to say it. So if you average a 5th place finish, you will get 10th place points for that event. That's going to keep them in the running. But again, those top 3 are out. Cole Duncan will be in the 7BC. We had a driver change, and this one was really unexpected from the standpoint of it happening during the season. If something was going to happen with Gio Scelzi and KCP Racing, I would have thought it would have been in the offseason. But Gio had enough, and things weren't moving in the right direction, and he pulled the plug on it Thursday morning. He got his T-shirt trailer, went home, obviously dealing with a little bit of a wrist injury. It's bruised. It's not broken. So now that opens up a seat in the 18 coming to central Pennsylvania. I do have a little bit of news on that. As for Gio Scelzi, he's going to be the fill-in driver for Tyler Courtney the rest of the year. And that's a pretty good fill-in from roughly probably the 360 Nationals or maybe the Nationals on. Definitely going to be a player in the point chase for High Limit, getting Clausen Marshall Racing an owner's title. So that's what we got. There's plenty of other storylines. We have TV, the FS1 deal. We have just a ton of stuff. For anybody calling in, you can reach us at 1-844-543-8589. We're ready to go to the chat and or the calls. So start firing away. Jeremy, can you believe we still have heard nothing on Zeb Wise? I'm almost going to assume he is sitting out all of 2025 at this point. I was in contact with Zeb a little this week. He's fine. Like he's enjoying life. I don't think he's overly eager to get back in the car at this point, meaning there's no reason for him to. I know he was at the Kings Royal. He was seen on the grounds, and I just think this isn't. I just think he's moved on. I'm not saying he won't ever get in a car again. I'm saying right now he's enjoying life. At least that's what he's told me. So I don't look for him to be in a ride this year. The KCP 18 hauler has been pictured in Hanover, which means they are in town for Wednesday night Woo race at BAPS. Any idea who could be in the car? Nobody is in the car as of now. I will say that the Outlaws have a 6-race deal that if the car shows up at the track and doesn't have a driver, they still get 90 points. If they don't show up at the track at all, they get 75 points. They do not have they don't have a driver as of now. I don't know if they'll have one for BAPS. I do expect them to have somebody by the weekend for Williams Grove. That's what I know as of now. Anyone else notice Peck had a Chevy in? I did not. I know he tore a car up bad at Eldora one night, so there was a lot going on, so I really didn't notice what was under the hood, but I'm not surprised. I know they had some trouble getting some Ford power plants. All right, what else do we got? Do we have a call or somebody up? There we go. Dr. Midnight on line 1. Doctor, how are you?
I'm doing great.
You always are.
Doing great.
You always are.
I'd like to talk a little bit about safety.
Okay.
You know, a half dozen years ago, we lost 3 high-profile open-wheel dirt drivers, and they talked quite a bit about the safety of the cars and the safety of the track, and they improved a little of each. But have we come to the point we should talk about the safety of what the drivers are doing themselves on the track? The over-aggressive style that has seemed to permeate the sport. I kind of think it's a California effect that started on these small outlaw kart tracks and micro tracks and started at the bull rings of California. And I think everyone in sprint car racing knows the success of these California drivers the last 10 years. And I think Danny Dietrich has mentioned the California style. Is there a point where we got to, they used to not have roughing the passer in the NFL. Do you think they should make rules if you hit a car and spin it out, or you hit a guy flipping off the track? Because there seems to be no rules whatsoever on aggressive driving and crashing. What's your thoughts?
I have a lot of thoughts. I think it's a very fair statement at this point. It is an aggressive style, and I know this surfaced this week, obviously because of the Kyle Larson thing with David Gravel. He was really aggressive with him, probably more aggressive than he would have been with anybody else. I think that's fair to say as well. There's some hidden stuff there between that team and High Limit, and with what Cody Jacobs said on Chaz's show. I think we all heard it, and if you didn't, go check it out. It was pretty abrasive. So, son paying for the sins of the father, so to speak. But back to the aggressive driving, yeah, I think it's fair. I mean, how many guys have to get hurt? How many guys? I mean, what are we waiting for to change something? I always cringe because we're a very reactive sport instead of a proactive sport. And most of the safety changes that have been put in place for this sport have been done after a serious crash, or somebody was killed, or somebody was seriously injured, or got close to being seriously injured. And I think it's something that it should definitely be looked at. Now, that being said, here's the problem. How do you judge it? Is it going to be a judgment call? Because we have enough judgment calls. We can't get starts right in sprint car racing. We can't there's penalties that aren't enforced. You get down to this slippery slope of who's going to call it. And then is there going to be a narrative or some kind of, we're not going to do it to that guy, but we're going to do it to the other guy. And I agree with the sentiment and that it needs to be looked at. And do I think it's a California thing? I definitely think Larson's up the ante. These guys have come after him, meaning coming out of California after him, and he's had a lot of success. He's never been hurt or hurt seriously that I know of. And I think there's a little air of invincibility there. And I think other guys see the success and they feel they need to drive the same way. I mean, Donnie Schatz never drove like that. Steve Kinzer did at times.
Yeah, that's
Sammy did at times.
I was going to bring up Donnie. Donnie being a 10-time champion, I can't ever remember him making contact with another car. I'm sure it happens somewhere, but it's very, very rare.
Right.
It's even once a year. Now we have drivers that can't go 5 races without contacting a car in some form. And because we're in the era where these traveling teams seem to be able to wipe out cars and it doesn't stop anybody from racing, the money seems endless, and the drivers know this. So if they wipe out a car here or there, I see drivers wipe out cars and they're interviewed and they're not even upset about wiping a car out.
Yeah.
Like, that's just part of the job. But getting back to who would call it, they have referees in football. Obviously, it would be a judgment call, but it seems pretty clear if you contact somebody and they spin, how about you're DQ'd for the night? If you hit somebody and they flip over, you're DQ'd for a race. Some type of fair penalty system.
Sure.
That might get drivers. It would clean up the driving, is what I'm saying. Make it a cleaner thing. I don't remember Stevie Smith driving like this, or Kreitz. And now we have a new generation of win it or wear it.
Yeah.
Slide jobs that no one really seems to care. And there's 0 penalty.
I agree. And
Look,
I will say this, and you bring up a good point. If you sit somebody for a night or a race, it'll change quick. It won't take much. And I think,
and if you repeat it, we double the penalty. We double the penalty.
Yep.
It's very simple to call.
Yeah.
You see contact. Now they can get out and say they didn't mean to do it, but that's fine.
Tough.
The guy didn't mean to grab the face mask either. So what?
Yes.
Or we just gonna wait. Are we just gonna wait till? I cannot believe no one got seriously injured with the viciousness of these wrecks. And you're right. Part of it's the track, and part of it's the construction of the car. But there's never been a discussion about the style of the guys in the car and what they're doing causing wrecks.
Yeah, and I think too, if you do it the right way, it's not all contact. Like if you're trying to avoid, or if you see something in front of you, you're trying to get out of the way and you hit another car, or but if you're battling somebody for position and sliding them and there's contact, yes, absolutely. I think if done the right way, I'm all for it. Because what are we waiting for here? Are we going to wait till somebody is seriously hurt where it comes into play? And unfortunately,
and I see on your
it goes that way.
I see on your comment board, someone says slide jobs are part of racing, and it's true, slide jobs are part of racing. But making contact with someone is not racing, and rubbing is not racing,
right? And
crashing, and eventually, people are saying it's going to happen. Then what?
Yeah,
serious injuries will happen eventually with this stuff.
Yeah, and we're not saying take slide jobs out of racing. We're saying clear them. Just clear them.
Right. That's right.
Just it's not a hard concept to clear them.
I don't think it's a hard call for some official to make the call. If you hit someone to where they stop on the track, you can bump somebody and maybe tap somebody, and okay, that's rubbing is racing. But when you make contact and someone stops, there's a penalty, and if someone flips, there's a more severe penalty. And so that's all I got for you.
Well, I'm not going to argue with that sentiment. I've seen some really bad ones, and guys get upside down. And look, we saw the Caleb Henry incident. We saw, the Courtney incident. I talked to Buddy Kofoid about that incident, and he was watching Tanner in front of him. Tanner kind of went a different direction than what he said, or what he thought, I should say. And it made him go up, and Courtney was already there.
Courtney was in his blind spot. That's different.
Yes.
I'm okay, but we does get to a judgment situation. When someone's in your blind spot
yes.
behind you, that's different when you're the
right.
trailing car and you hit a car in front of you, I guess we'd have to clarify
Sure.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I think you can make it for slide jobs, or obviously getting into the back of somebody on purpose. I mean, we know. I mean, come on, guys who've watched racing long enough and watched sprint cars long enough, it's easy to see. So I agree with you. I'm on board.
Okay, well, you can field the Tyler Walker questions and go on with the show.
We know it's going to happen. Thank you, Doctor. I appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye-bye. We got Robert online too. Robert, what do you got for me?
Boy, did David Gravel and Big Game Motorsports get exposed this week. They want to puff their chest out and run their mouth, and then when they get raced hard, they want to go cry about it. Can you believe that? That they have talked all that trash for a year and a half about High Limit and Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson, and then David Gravel's got the nerve to say he shouldn't be racing him hard for third or fourth. But here's the bigger problem with David Gravel and the World of Outlaws. The World of Outlaws is catering to that team. At the start of the race Friday night, Gravel jumped the start and they penalized Parker Price Miller. Then after the race, he spins Larson out and using his car as a weapon, and they do nothing about that either. To further boot it, his crew wanted to fight fans in the pits after the race. They are classless and unprofessional, and exactly what Lawson said is 100% right. They turned the heat up, and now they can't stand the heat in the kitchen.
Well, I have a couple thoughts about what you said. So I'll address the racing hard first. There's racing hard, and I'm all for that, obviously. I did think some of the moves were really dicey around a place where they're helicoptering people out of there. Okay. There's racing hard, and then there's a little over the edge. And
But Jeremy, if you go back one lap, Gravel threw the same slider on Larson.
Larson started it, Gravel did it, which he shouldn't have, and then Larson did it again. That I could show you the tape. It was back and forth, and yes, I agree with that. I don't condone either of it. Okay, so then you talked about the deal after the race. I looked in the World of Outlaws rule book. There was somebody posted on Facebook, and it was AI generated, because it's not in the World of Outlaws book that Gravel could have been fined or penalized for that. It's not in the rule book. So while I, again, don't condone it, I mean, if it's not in the rule book, you're making something up at that point. Do I think there should be rules in the rule book? Absolutely. That I agree with. As for the jumping, you know what? I saw Chris Windham jump 3 rows. It seems to be, if you're in the back of the field, you can get away with a lot of stuff. Now, the Gravel thing, he fanned out. I thought fanning out was not allowed in sprint car racing, but for some reason, fanning out all of a sudden is allowed again. I used to go to the drivers' meetings all the time, and they said no fanning out. I went to all 4 meetings this week, and there was nothing about fanning out. So, again, judgment call. As for afterward, I was in that pit, and there was enough blame to go around for fans and the 2 car. It was equal because I was there. I was standing right there because I went to get comments, obviously. I'm not condoning, and look, you're right. Over the last year and a half, a lot of things were said, and sometimes you reap the consequences of that.
I mean, you can't go around running your mouth and expect to not have consequences.
I agree.
I think Cody Jacobs, what did Cody Jacobs say? High Limit's a B series. Well, I'll tell you what, that B series spanked their ass this week.
They did do well. In fact, the Outlaws only had, I think I if you take out the DQ, I think the Outlaws had I think they have 3 podium finishers at all 4 races at Eldora out of 12. So, yeah, it wasn't a good week for the World of Outlaws. But I always look at it this way: High Limit versus the Outlaws, and I don't have a dog in the fight. I cover each one equally. I'll be at a High Limit race tomorrow at Lernerville. I'll be at the Outlaw races in here, and I've traveled to both of them. I have nothing against either of them. They're about the same. There's going to be nights High Limit does better. There's going to be different times where the Outlaws do better. I can name them off the top of my head. Brad Sweet beat him at Beaver Dam. Rico Abreu beat him in Wisconsin. And then there's other times it was the exact opposite, where the High Limit guys didn't do well. So, I think the rivalry is good for sprint car racing.
I agree.
But there needs to be limits to it as well. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see it get out of control with fans. I often wonder, and this is going to be probably not met well by people. Sometimes I wonder if fans have too much access, because I watched that deal on Friday. That could have been really bad. And people get their beer muscles and they want to go down to gravels and start chirping. Well, tensions are already high. And, it just wasn't a good situation, but luckily nothing developed. Security got down there and everything was okay. And we all moved on to the King's Royal the next day, and nothing happened, which I didn't expect anything to develop on Saturday because they were racing for $200,000. So
right. Let me ask you one last question
Sure.
before I go.
Sure.
What do you think about Gravel's comments that Lawson's a part-time driver and shouldn't be racing him that hard for third place? I mean, Jeremy, you
yeah. I mean, look, he's going to race.
Like
yeah, he's going to race. I mean, Larson is here's the thing: they're 2 competitive guys. They're going to race hard no matter what. Does Larson have an advantage? Absolutely, he has an advantage. The advantage is he's not running for points. If he crashes, he just loads it up and comes back whenever his next scheduled race is. That is the. Do I think he should race?
Gravel's got his points some sewed up.
Well, yeah, but still, it doesn't matter. It's now. Do I think Larson shouldn't run him hard? No, I'm not saying that. Larson should race how he wants to race. But again, I'm just saying that Larson has an advantage in that situation because he doesn't race.
I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, and Gravel. Yes, I do think Gravel has that point title sewed up. I think that thing is over. But
yes,
we'll see.
Kofoid and the guys he's running against just not consistent enough.
I think Kofoid's a year or 2 away. I think he's coming though. I think Kofoid wins a title within the next 2 or 3 years.
I'll tell you what, Donnie Schatz was all but pitiful this weekend.
Oh boy, I can't. It was not good. It was not.
I don't know what's going on with that team.
No, just wasn't good. That's it. I mean,
No, it wasn't good. Well, I'm not going to hold you up anymore,
That's all right.
Jeremy. Thank you for taking my call.
Anytime. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. What else do we got here? Are you surprised at how the Bitcoin puppets, Tyler Walker, Ron Rutherford thing has played out? No, I'm not. Look, I've said this before, and I'll reiterate it. I saw it at Speed Week. And my thing is, if you're bringing Tyler Walker in with all the problems and all the baggage, I thought it should have been low key. I thought it should have been, hey, we're going to do the best we can. We'll see how we do. There were too many hanger-ons. It looked like a block party around that car. You have filming documentaries. You have all kinds of what I would call noise, things that coaches in other sports hate. And of course it was going to go this direction. Then you get Bitcoin puppets involved. Nobody knows what it is. It seems like a fly-by-night thing as far as racing is concerned. I've seen some of the comments all week on their community pages, and some of them, I'm left scratching my head. I mean, I think I saw pictures of is ketamine a part of their community? And I mean, I just don't. It's just too much noise. It should have been quiet, church mouse quiet. And it just was too much noise. Way too much noise. You knew this was going off the rails just because of everything that was involved with it. So no, not surprised at all. Not one bit. In fact, I would have been surprised if it would have went smooth. So with 6 PA teams in the top 10 at Kings Royal, do you think the posse has the most momentum going into this week? Well, they didn't have 6 guys in the top 10. They had Ryan Smith, they had Macri, and Danny Dietrich. Ashton Torgerson, I'll give you a 0.5. Logan Schuchart is not a bet. Now, it's based out of Pennsylvania, but it's an outlaw car. You had Larson, you had Rico, they aren't. You had who else was in there? Carson Macedo isn't. But yeah, I mean, back to your question, I think Pennsylvania has a lot of momentum, if you want to call it that, coming into the week. Macri obviously can get it done. I think Dietrich had a good run at the Kings Royal. I think 10th is good. Darren Pittman's going to be in the Kreitz car, the Grove. So I think that, I mean, not that Ryan Smith couldn't make noise. I think the Ryan Smith resurgence, I'd almost vote him comeback driver of the year. So, yeah, I mean, I think Pennsylvania looks pretty good heading into this week. It's funny though. Every time the Outlaws get beat up like that, they have a tendency to come back strong. That's why they are the Outlaws. So I'll be interested. I'm really interested in this visit to Central Pennsylvania. Was the bump in the track the problem, or just hard racing that caused all the wreckage? Well, that's hard to say because we haven't talked to any of the drivers who were injured. I'm not going. Look, the bump's got to get fixed. That's obvious. That it's got to be fixed. Now, what the problem is, I'm not 100% sure. I think Eldora, I would expect Tony and Eldora Speedway to get that worked out, or at least to the point where it's not as extreme. I did not see the sweet one. Aaron got in and he was on the cushion already, and it just looked weird. So, I mean, it was a thin line up there. The Courtney one was because there was kind of jammed up, and as I said, it was the opening lap. It was first corner. So guys are dicing and moving around, and I just think it was an unfortunate incident. So, yeah, they got to fix it. Do I think it was why these guys got injured and were in huge crashes? Until I talk to them, I'm not going to go that direction yet, because I remember 2 of them, and I wouldn't say the whole was it. I mean, maybe the Reitzel one, because he got in it weird, but guys were going over it. You just had to cheat it. Carson Macedo used a word, if you cheat it, you're okay. And he did that throughout Friday night's feature, and it worked out. He finished second place. So, I'll probably talk to the guys at some point, and I think Eldora, it won't even get to that, but I think Eldora will get on it. That's for sure. Jim from Buffalo on line 3. Jim, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. Glad you were out there to witness some of the festivities this week. But first of all, I'd just like to say I'm just glad that everybody was able to get out of those race cars okay.
Sure.
I like hard racing, good hard racing, but man, the wrecking stuff, it just got old. I mean, I almost is, But anyways, to look at the big elephant in the room.
It could be a couple big elephants. It could be a stampede.
Well, yeah, you're right. But I just look at the midget mentality being brought into sprint car racing, the 410s especially. I mean, I even see it in the 360s. It's almost like, and I'm going to blame Larson. I'll go right out on the limb and blame him. It's like he's going to slide you, and he's going to run you damn close, and he's going to dare you. Either you're going to take him out, which takes you out, or he's going to pass you. I mean, it's almost like, screw you, I'm coming. Whether you like it or not, what are you going to do about it? What do you think about that?
Well, first off, while Larson might have started that trend, and I say that loosely. Like, I'm not going to blame Kyle Larson for everything. I'm not going to jump on his back and say, oh, he's the reason, because everybody makes their own decisions. Okay? That first off. Kyle makes you make decisions. Like you said,
Yes.
I don't think he's dirty. I think he is a step back from that, and I think he races you hard, and I think he makes you make decisions as to what you're going to do. And nobody gives it back. That's the other thing. Nobody gives it back. And why that is, I don't know. There's a couple guys who will. I've seen Brent Marks give it back already. I've seen Rico give it back already. But I'm not going to say he's dirty, because I've seen dirty drivers in my years of going to races, and he's not there. Do people see his success and duplicate that style? Sure, but it's each person's individual choice. I mean, Kyle's also fast and can do it. That's the other thing.
Right.
Other guys can't do it. So.
Right. I totally agree. I never called him dirty. He makes you as, I guess you would call it, a receiver going over the middle during a football game.
Absolutely.
The defensive back makes him make a business decision.
Yep.
Are you going to go, or are you going to not go? And you know what? That's brilliant in a way. I mean, I can't fault him for it, because like you said, nobody gives it back. But then, look at your chat room there. Gravel gives it back to him, and oh my God, David Gravel is the next coming of Satan or something like that. You know what? He said what he said. He did what he did. At least he was smart enough to not do it during the race where people can get hurt. I mean, I got no problem with that. And like the guys at Chili Bowl, if you want to fight on the track.
Yeah.
People will like that. They should have both got out and fought. Why not? They're guys.
That would have been fun to see.
We fight, and then we go. Yeah, we're guys. When we fight, afterwards we go out and have a beer.
Well, the other thing is, I find interesting is Larson never complained about Gravel's retaliation.
He didn't, and
Larson doesn't complain.
He really can't.
Well, he can,
I know, but he knows
doesn't.
what he's doing. Right, exactly. If he complained about it, he'd get exactly what's going on in your chat room here. Oh, David
Probably.
Larson this, or David Gravel this, David Gravel that.
He might get worse.
It's unfortunate.
He might get worse because they'll say
probably
prima donna NASCAR guy. He would probably get it worse if he did that. And I will give him credit for he does not complain.
Mm-hmm. No, he doesn't. I mean, I don't know. It's like him or hate him or whatever. He is good for the sport because,
Absolutely.
he brings fans in. Some we don't like, some we do like. But hey, but like you said, beer courage, I get it. But just one other thing, that thing about the front wing being too far forward on Gravel's car the other day, that should have never been done post-race. It needs to be done pre-race. Stuff happens during a race. Things vibrate. You hit that hole in turn one there enough times, things can move. Yeah, it's up to you to tighten it down and everything like that. But a lot of times your car doesn't come back the same way it leaves.
I tend to agree with you. I wish, but that's not their rules. And guess what? 5 other guys passed that night.
Yeah, I get it. That's cool.
But
whatever.
But I agree. I don't understand the post-race, because especially if you don't have a red flag. If everything passes, before the race, well, you're fine. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I would rather see stuff done beforehand, but
Well, that's like that stupid ass droop rule in late models. They got it hooked onto a chain. And if the chain breaks during the race, yeah, you're not going to pass the droop rule. And sometimes you get on a rough track and it happens.
sure.
So they measure that after the race. I mean, I don't know. I don't get the gist of that. But anyway, so I'm not worried, though. If anything happens and somebody gets disqualified, they're just going to blame the World of Outlaws anyhow, because they are the great Satan in the world. But you know how that goes.
I think both series now, it's pretty equal with what fans say. I think the Outlaws have their detractors and their supporters, and I think High Limit has their detractors and supporters. I think it's pretty equal.
Yeah.
I hear a lot of it.
I tell you what, Wednesday and Thursday night with Chase and Tony and what's his name there?
Blake Anderson.
On the broadcast.
Yes.
Blake Anderson. Yeah, I drew a blank. And sorry, Blake. Thanks for the information on Iowa Hawkeyes playing for the Buffalo Bills. You're a fountain of knowledge. But anyways, I thought their witty banner and everything like that was top notch. I really enjoyed that. Those guys got something going on. And it's just a bunch of guys talking about racing. I think that's pretty cool. And you know how I feel about High Limit.
Yes.
But, I got to
yes,
give
that's high
credit where
praise.
credit's due. They outstanding broadcast. I mean, Johnny and the guy from Houston did a great job on the Friday and Saturday. But some of these guys have to think too. Everybody says gravel hasn't wrapped up and this and that. No driver can win a championship while laying on a bed sheet. And that's the thing.
It's a good point.
Somehow, some way, you got to bring some sensibility in this. Slide job's fantastic. Chopping, all right, you do it once, fine. You made a mistake. I can buy that. Do it 2 or 3 times, it's getting old. But anyways, it's almost 10 days now till we get to the great place of Knoxville, Iowa. Can't wait to see you out there.
I will be there.
And the promised land is the home of Busch Latte and all that good stuff. So anyways, don't forget my sweatshirt, okay?
I'll try, man. I'll check it and see what sizes I have left. So no, I will be out there and I look forward to seeing you.
All right. Enjoy the racing this week. Hopefully Mother Nature won't intercede. Everybody have a great week. Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was Jim from Buffalo and the weather looks good. So we have Bob on line 4. Bob, how you doing?
Yeah.
Okay, Bob, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing fine. I just wanted to bring up Knoxville putting up 90,000 for the 360s this week. That was a great show.
Yeah, you know what? I looked at, now obviously I didn't get a chance to watch it. And I didn't admittedly get a chance to watch the replay yet. We were driving yesterday and then the Geo stuff happened today. But I did what I say don't do, which is look at the box score. And the box score looked pretty good. There were a lot of guys, a lot of movement, looked like a lot of passing. I have watched Knoxville a lot this year. And, people complained recently at the Nationals, lack of passing, whatever. I think we're going to have a good Nationals. It looks like the track looks really good. And it looks like there's a lot of passing, so I'm interested. I'm anxious to get out there.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great show. They 410s were real good that night too. They had a lot of passing. I actually thought the night I had them both on. I thought the night at Knoxville was more exciting than the Kings Royal. Probably not a lot of people agree with that, but my take.
I saw some comments online how the racing wasn't good in the Kings Royal, and I'm like, because I saw the thing about the laps. Nick Hoffman brought it up, and then Michael Rigsby chimed in, and other people chimed in, and I'm like, it did not take 25 laps for that to get good. It just Macri looked good, and Rico came from 6th to 2nd. You had Kofoid come from the back to about 13th. Then come back through again. You had Carson Macedo, who looked good. You had Logan Schuchart, come through the field. You had comers and goers. Dietrich started on the front row and went back to, or third or whatever it was, second row, and went back to 10. You had coming and going. I thought the race was decent. Macri wasn't challenged because Macri was really good out front. And it always goes back to what makes a good race. Do you need a pass for the lead, or are you okay with stuff going on in the top 5? I think it's a moving target. To me, that's why I say don't look at the box score. You don't want to look at the box score. So, again, I thought it was decent. Now, Knoxville might have been better. I'm not saying it wasn't. But I thought it was decent all week. And Knoxville's been killer this year. So, I'm anxious to get out there.
Well, that's pretty much all I wanted. Great show. So, thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. I appreciate it. Thoughts on which series Macri joins next year if he goes full-time on a touring series? Pros and cons of him joining either High Limit, the World of Outlaws. I'll be surprised if he goes with either next year. Macri has always said to me in interviews, he likes what he's doing. I don't know if he's a 80 race guy on the road, with the Outlaws. I just don't know if that's a long time. And Macri likes to come home. He has a girlfriend at home. He's younger. If he does it, I think it'll be High Limit. At some point, I could be wrong on that. This is just my opinion, because he'd get home more. So I don't know. I don't expect it in a year or two. I expect it maybe down the road. He'll do it once, but we'll see. But I think High Limit would be the choice only because he wouldn't be out there so many nights. They have more weeks off where he can pick and choose and do things. So just a thought. Is this Brent and Rico's chance to chase point leaders? Yeah, I mean, it is. Now, Brad's going to be back. Okay, Brad's going to miss tomorrow, but his average finish is what? 5 point whatever. He's going to get 10th place points. And the guy chasing him is, writes on Courtney. Now, Courtney's, and it's all owners' points too. I think we need to differentiate between the money's paid out with the owners. So the owners' championship is what counts the most. Yeah, I think Rico's a player anyway. I think, Brent has struggled a bit as of late, but Rico's a player anyway. And I expect Rico to be good tomorrow. Carson Macedo and Chris Wyndham are going to be there. James McFadden's going to be there. Brent Marks is going to be there. We just won't have the 87 and the 49. And Cole Duncan will be in the 7BC. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But I think those guys were involved in it anyway, regardless of what happened with guys being out. And Brad Sweet's going to be back. Obviously, Courtney will not, but they got Gio Selzy. That's not a slouch by any stretch. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays. I'm anxious to see how it plays out. And I expect Brad Sweet back in 3 weeks. If I was guessing, something like that. I think he'll be back for the West Coast swing at the very least. Could be back by the Nationals. I don't know. There's no reason for him to race next week. So, this weekend or next weekend. There's no reason for him to. So, I hate saying this, and don't take it the wrong way. If it was going to happen, this was the right time for it to happen because there's some time off in the schedule. Granted, the Knoxville Nationals is huge, but again, from a series point standpoint. All right, what else do we got? Who else is going to Lernerville to watch in person? Me. So, who else is? KCP 18. Who are the candidates in the running for the ride and future plans? Surprised they didn't put someone at Eldora to maintain owner points. They got hardship points. They're called hardship points. They got, I think, 90 points for being there. even though they weren't there for that Friday night and whatnot, they were given grace because obviously it was when you get insurance, you're allowed to change during the year because of change of life, getting married, kid, whatever. It's kind of the same concept. You had a change, a major change. They are in Pennsylvania. I don't think it's as easy as you think to name a driver. Who do you put in it? A lot of drivers are locked up, and Gio's a top 10, 12 guy in the country, depending, and you're going to replace him. Who are you replacing him with? So I think they want to be prudent. I think they want to pick somebody who fits their organization. I don't blame them for not having the King's Royal. What did it mean? It didn't mean anything for points. They were getting a show of points everyone else was getting. Yeah, it's a big race, but they weren't going to win it. I mean, they didn't have a drive. I mean, they were getting a driver. I mean, it's Gio's program, what he likes. You're going to put a new driver, and it's going to take time to get what that driver likes and how they like the car. So it's not as simple as just slap somebody in. I think people shortchange that a little bit. It is situational, and it's going to take some time. So I like the fact that they're taking their time with it. How do you think Gio will do in high limit tour? I think he'll do fine. I think he'll do fine. I think he's going to be a contender. I like Gio. I think Gio's good. There might be a little more motivation there too. You never know. Apologies if this has been covered. Haven't watched them all. What happened to PPM Forbrook 5 deal? I think Guy had some health issues he was getting over, and they just couldn't get together and race. So just wasn't ready. Now, Donnie Schatz did test a motor that Forbrook had at Knoxville. It was highly publicized a couple weeks ago over July 4th. So I'd say Forbrook, I think you'll see him at the Nationals. So I don't think it worked out just from a logistics standpoint. I do believe Guy was still dealing with some stuff and wasn't going to start up until May or something like that. So that's what I know so far. Congratulations to potential Knoxville Nationals Rookie of the Year, Justin Whittall, winning at Port Royal. Yes, Justin Whittall looked good at Port Royal. Kind of made up for what happened the week before. I wish he would have stayed in the car the week before. It seems like we have guys getting out of cars again. And much like everything in sprint car racing, we just let it go. We'll enforce that stuff for a little bit, and then we'll let it go. But no, I like Justin Whittall. I think he's fast. I think he's getting better and better every year. And I'm not surprised at all he won at Port Royal, and I think he's going to win more there. And when they have big shows there, he's a top 5 car. Tuscarora 50, the Weicker. You look back over the last few years, he has some top 5s in some big races against sanctioning bodies. So I think Justin Whittall's come a long way. Walker in 18 with Chaz T-Match. Come on now. No, I don't think that's what the 18 is looking for. Has Fred Raymer pigeonholed his son to be okay at Lincoln and Grove regular versus expanding on their schedule to gain versatility on other types of tracks? Got to remember, Freddie Raymer has a job. He's an engineer. So I do think there's some logistical issues to just like traveling. I don't think Freddie necessarily wants to travel all over the place. Fred had a job as well. And granted, can they get off? I maybe. I don't know the logistics of their job, but Freddie works for a company. I don't, and it's expensive. I think they run their family, they run their own deal. So I don't know if running Lincoln and outside of Lincoln and Williams Grove is feasible from a financial standpoint. They run a lot of races during the year, and they go to Port Royal for the big shows. And I just think there's some factors there to consider. I mean, Freddie has a job and it's expensive to travel. All right. Is there anything else? Tarleton 21 had a Toyota motor. Yes, it did, and they will be at Lernerville, I'm told. They will not be coming to central Pennsylvania. They will be heading out through. I expect them to be at Knoxville to obviously prep for the Knoxville Nationals. But yes, McFadden has experience with the Toyota motors, and I think it makes sense for him to be in that car. And they've had the Toyota for a little bit. This wasn't a new thing. They've been waiting to unleash it at the big races. And, obviously that's what they did this past weekend. How many cars do you think for Weedsport, and do you think any New York guys can surprise with a decent run? How many cars? 26? Something like that. And look, you got to watch guys like Danny Barron. You got to watch all that. There's Slick. There's Ohio Slick. And then there's New York Slick. There's 3 levels, in my opinion. And those guys up there get going. We saw it Oshwegan. Dylan Westbrook did well up there. Jordan Thomas did well. I think they can make some noise. Do I think they're going to win? I mean, I'm always going to pick an Outlaws guy at that point. But no, I think they can fare well. No one is talking about the hit Bill Baylog took. He was the one that drilled the fence pole and came to a halt. Lucky he was able to walk away. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is with Bill and Eldora. It has not been kind to him the last 2 years. He flipped hard there last year. I talked to him a little bit this week after the crash. He was putting a car together, I believe, for Friday night. Not surprised he didn't run the Kings Royal at all. He's gone through a lot of equipment at Eldora Speedway, and I'm glad he's okay. It's a feel-good story again this year with him. He's running pretty well. Just it hasn't been good lately at Eldora for him. Are you ready for 2 weeks in Knoxville with Mr. Mallet? I'm always ready for weeks with Mr. Mallet. So yes, I will not be 2 weeks. I get out there Saturday for the 360 finale, and then we'll be there obviously for the duration. So it's always good to see Mallet. I saw him at Speed Week. He comes down. We do the SprintCarUnlimited.tv stuff. He stays at my apartment. It's always fun with Mike Mallet. Good guy. Really good guy. Steven Snyder Jr. looks like he's going to be a good one. Yeah, I did a story on him for SprintCarUnlimited.com. By the way, shameless plug. You can get a year subscription for the website right now for if you use the coupon code SCUMOM 2025. You can get it for $28 a year. We're giving it's 20% off. But yeah, so I did a story on him. I like what I see from Steven Snyder. I think he could be a good one. I don't think he'll be in the 27 long because they can't run 80 races, and somebody's going to pick him up. They don't know him yet. They might not know him outside of PA yet, but I think at some point somebody's going to notice him and pick him up, and I would. I think he's a guy you could build a team around. Everything he's gotten in his career, he's won it. He picks it up quick. Looked good at Eldora last week. Was running 8th when he got in that crash with Reitzel. And that's his first World of Outlaws event. He thought he could have run 6th in that event. That's impressive. Finished 5th with the All-Stars at Eldora earlier this year. So Steven Snyder Jr. is a guy to keep an eye on. Who's the favorite to win the All-Stars at mid-season point? I still think it's Caleb Henry. Sorry, getting a text. I still think Caleb Henry's a favorite. I thought it would be Cale Thomas. I'm a little surprised he hasn't fared better, but Cale Thomas, it's going to come down between Cale Thomas and Caleb Henry, I think. That's my answer. I got a call before we put another one up. comes from actually Brian Walker. He says, what do you think of the double down duels format into Joker's Jackpot now that the event is becoming annual? I like it. I like it a lot. I like the point format. I like pretty much everything about it. I like that we get that feeds into Thursday and it sets up C mains, B main, A main. I think people sometimes get sick of qualifying, meaning fans. I think it's good for the fans. I like it. I think points are interesting. Knoxville does it weekly. So I'm all for it. I like the double down duels. I can't really say anything bad about it. All right, what else do we got? Do you know any backstory behind the Selzy KCP split? Was this really out of nowhere, or were things brewing in the background? They were having a tough year. I know they lost 2 crew members in the offseason. That's tough. I don't think people realize how important cohesiveness is with a team. That was obviously that didn't please Gio, and they were struggling a little bit. It wasn't what Gio wanted, and yeah, I think it's pretty much what he said. He wasn't having fun anymore. He wasn't. I know there were some back and forth a couple times, but Gio's. I think too, Gio's a guy, if he's not moving forward, he's moving backward, and he does not move backward. I think he just didn't like the direction and thought it was kind of maybe spinning his wheels there a little bit or something to that effect. And he just made that decision. And one thing about Gio, if you look at the NASCAR deal with him, when he made the decision, it was done. He wasn't going to sit there and get I did the story today on being in the 7BC, and he said, I'm not a guy who is in plan A and then I'm worrying about plan B. He's not that guy. So I think that really contributed to it. And the other thing is it wasn't like he hates the team or anything. They still get along. It's very good. So it's not, but yes, surprising. Sorry about that. Go ahead. Is McFadden running with the Outlaws or heading back west after Lernerville? He'll be heading back west after Lernerville. Turn 1 had a huge dip in it, and you could see it on Wednesday. Why didn't Stewart try and fix it for the last 3 days? I think they did try and fix it. It could be something under the track. I mean, you just don't roll out and just fix it. I mean, I've seen Williams Grove have a dip multiple times, and it's there for a couple years. I think there's something probably going on underneath it. I don't know. I don't own the place. It's all speculation, but there's no way they didn't try and do something. It was a little better on Saturday night. But you can't rip out everything during the season. That's not feasible. They have a lot of big events, and you got to do the best you can. So I think they'll probably do more after the season's over. Bacon should have been penalized by World Racing Group in some form or fashion for Attica, though. That was BS. It wasn't good. He didn't clear them. And Dr. Midnight was already on talking. We were talking about slide jobs, and I thought it was uncharacteristic. I mean, I'll say that. Yeah, Caleb Henry, I guess, could have let off. I don't know if he could have. I don't know if he could have laid off there. But yes, an unfortunate incident. The big story here is the top 3 in points for high limit are injured. Not sure on sweep, but Sunshine and Reitzel are out for an extended period. Who is going to take control of the point lead? I still think it's Sweets to lose. I'm not. It seems like people want to write off Brad Sweet. I don't think we can never do that. I think he'll be back. I think, by the time high limit rolls are out on the West Coast, he'll be back in form, so to speak. I still think it's his to lose. Rico's going to be tough. Rico's got to avoid the 10th place finish, stuff like that. So again, I still think Sweet, and now you got to throw Gio in the mix as far as owners points for. You could see a split here. You could see Sweet win the driver and Clausen Marshall win the owners. You could see Rico win both. I think there's a lot of dynamics going on. I'll be at Lernerville tomorrow. We'll see how it plays out. This is my 30th anniversary as Central PA Sprint Car fan and attending my first Knoxville Nationals in 2 weeks. What will impress me most? Probably just the overall event. Just the hoopla around it. The amount that the town gets behind it. The amount of people. The amount of activities going on. The food. Just the whole atmosphere, I think, will impress you more than anything. It's a happening. It's an event. A true event. Like, the King's Royal. But there's just so much that goes into that week, and there's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of buzz. After the races, they usually have bands, and they have food for the fans. It's a big deal, and you feel it when you walk into the place. So I think that's probably what will impress you most. Can you give us a condensed wrap-up of the Tyler Walker Rutherford Bitcoin Muppets situation? Who is to blame? Who is innocent? I don't think anybody's innocent. Look, you have a lot of moving parts there. You have everybody could have done something different. I guess from what I've Chaz brought the Bitcoin guy. Ron hired Tyler Walker. He says the car was new, I guess. Tyler said it was junk a couple times on interviews. I said like the shocks were junk or this was junk or whatever, or better car. He'd use those kind of innuendos. None of us know what the money was supposed to be. Yeah, we can take people's word for it, but we really don't know. And I don't know all the parties involved well enough to give a accurate, this person's at fault. They're all at fault. They're all involved, so they're all at fault. I mean, it just didn't work. There were too many. Again, it was way over the top and too much. There's Facebook posts. There are too many people hanging around. There's too much. It's just a lot of noise for nothing. And it just wasn't going to work. That's it. Look at your successful teams in any sport. Not a lot of noise. Just saying. Any thoughts on the FS1 broadcast from Thursday night? I don't, this is going to sound like a cop-out. I don't really know what to think. 239,000 people watching. Okay. Trucks are 331,000. Did I expect it to be NASCAR numbers? No, I never expected that. I think, and I didn't watch the broadcast yet. I want to watch it because I want to be able to give a fair critique of the broadcast itself. I think that's only fair. We need more races. I don't think we have a benchmark yet. I think we need to see, is there really growth? I mean, this is the first time it was on FS1. So I don't know what a good number is. Now, I didn't expect it to get 800,000, which is what you need for a ratings point, like a full ratings point. I didn't expect that. I don't know if it'll ever get to that. I don't know if it's popular enough, and it has inherent problems. I will say this, get rid of the work area because it drags the show down. I don't like the work area on these shows because everybody stops on the track. Nobody can tell me that guys don't stop on the track more. so they can go to the work area. I've never seen it as much as it is now. So I think that's a problem. I think you need to change kind of your work area policy. I don't, again, I don't know if 239,000 is a bad number. I don't think it is, because I didn't expect it to be 800,000. I didn't expect it to be 500,000. I think we need more races. We need to see if there's growth. We need to see if we just don't have a benchmark. So now we have 239,000. That's your benchmark. Let's have another one and see what you get. Then we can talk about the numbers aspect of it. As for the show itself, I thought High Limit moved the show through really well. Obviously, there was a lot of carnage in the feature. That didn't help. But the work area thing, good God, it just drags. And then you have to have a fuel stop because people stop on the track. And fuel stops do not add to the show. I'm sorry, it doesn't. So that's what I got on it right now. How about a Joey Saldana deep dive? He's on my list. Definitely on my list. I'm hoping I might have had a text here from to set up my next one for this week. There's a guy I have in mind. But yes, Joey Saldana will be on the deep dive, hopefully at some point. All right. When Earl was alive, it was his rules, his racetrack, and when first had the Kings Royal. Yeah. I think him and Capitani were like that. Sorry, my voice is a little off, but yeah, it was definitely Earl's rules. It was definitely Capitani's rules as well at Knoxville. I don't think much is strayed off for the Kings Royal. They added the 4 and the 0 on the wheel. I mean, look, you got to evolve a little bit, so I guess I'm okay with that. I mean, I like the 6 inversion, but you got to have a racetrack where you can pass in order to have that. I think they did a good job. I thought the heats were good on Saturday night. So, but no, I have no problem with the Kings Royal format the way it is now. It's pretty. The only difference is the 4 and the 0 on the wheel. So, no, Earl definitely did it his way. Who's your favorite going into the Knoxville Nationals? Ooh. Oh, it's got to be. I mean, Kyle Larson and David Gravel. Those are my two favorites. I mean, it's 1A and it's 1 and 1A. Now, the guy to watch. Now, I have 3 favorites. Like if I was having a category of favorites, there's 3 in there, and the third one might surprise people. It's Corey Day. He has adjusted to Knoxville so well, and surprisingly so. I think he's probably surprised by it. But Corey Day, really good at Knoxville. I think he definitely should get some consideration. But right now, I'm looking at Kyle Larson and David Gravel. David Gravel comes on those Knoxville races this year. He was really fast late. So hasn't won a really big show this year either. If he rolls into Knoxville, and Todd Quirin wants that race bad. So you could see a Larson Gravel battle at the Nationals. Spinning someone after the race or doing during caution is uncalled for, like Gravel did to Larson. Yeah, I mean, it's okay, won't be popular. At least they're not doing what late models are doing. Jesus. What's going on in that division? What else do we got? Gio will be high limit next year. There will be a couple top tier rides open, and he is not the only current top regular in the Woo who will be high limit bound in 2026. I'm hearing the same things. That's all I'm going to say. I'm hearing the same things. I think we got to see what happens out, with silly season. Obviously, Gio's going to be on the market. He's going to be the number 1 free agent. I don't think I'm going out on a limb to say that. So, but yes, I do think you could see another team or two jump over to high limit. We'll see. Definitely be keeping an eye on it. Did you hear any talk of another race on FS1? Yeah, I heard it's in the works. Now I don't know how true that is, but I would be shocked. I would be shocked if they didn't have another one in the pipeline or at least discussing it. Now remember, you can only do it at certain facilities. You know, you're not going to showcase a track in the middle of nowhere that isn't maybe up on. I mean, Eldora is a perfect place to do it. If High Limit's going to do it again, Port Royal's a good place to do it. Skagit might be a place to do it. Someplace like, those two tracks, just looking at the schedule the rest of the year, are two places where I think, could work there. Lucas Oil is a premier facility, be a good place to do it. Texas would be a good place to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of those venues are part of the FS1 deal moving forward. I think the issue is not the slide job issue, is the run down the track and chop you going into the corner. It's kind of like how Fred Raymer drove Lucas Wolf into the first turn opening at the Grove years ago. Yeah, I mean, I remember that as well. Yeah, you see that. I mean, Greg Hodnett did that. That was an outlaw thing at one time. It's not as much now. I don't see that as much as I used to see it. But yes, it still goes on. Yes, it's still a problem. Yes, Fred did do that to Lucas Wolf. I remember it well. So yeah, it's definitely a problem. And I think Dr. Midnight said it. These cars are fast. And they get together and they start flipping. And again, it's unfortunately, we are a reactive industry instead of proactive. They should take, and I hate to say it, I know people take a cue from the NFL, fix the problem before it becomes a major problem. They heard the overtime wasn't good. Fans complained for like 2 weeks. Guess what? It changed for the following year. You got to move on stuff quicker. The problem is there's, again, no governing body in this sport, who just do it because everybody's wrangling for cars. They're worried they're going to lose cars. The two national series will worry that they'll lose cars. I don't think High Limit worries about it as much as the Outlaws. I mean, we'll see. Hopefully it calms down one way or the other. Roth needs to get the big track program dialed in. Won at Williams Grove last year. Buddy Kofoid won at Williams Grove last year. Went 10th to 3rd at Knoxville last visit. Was really good. Eldora, Buddy's just not overly good at Eldora. I talked to him about it this week. Felt better at Knoxville the last time he was there. Again, won at Williams Grove. It didn't help that car got destroyed because that was a car that they had for Eldora and they thought it was going to be good there. And he was starting, I believe, 9th in the field for the Joker's jackpot based on points. So he kind of caught a tough heat race. So that made it difficult and he didn't make it through. Otherwise, he would have started up farther in the order. So I would agree, needs to get a little better, but he's not out to lunch by any stretch. I think he makes the Nationals A-main. I was impressed with Smith's run at Eldora. Yeah, look, Ryan Smith is one of the best stories of the year to me. It might seem like I'm giving it too much play, but he was going to walk away from the sport. That Hefner deal, I mean, he got hurt, didn't have a good taste after it. He just kind of ran the 6 and he ran the 10, the Nowatarski car and the BJD Motorsports thing. Kind of split time with that. Yeah, had a little bit of success, Western Speed Week and whatnot, but wasn't really good in Central PA. He was going to walk away, wasn't having fun. Now he's running 6th at the Kings Royal. He looked good. I thought he looked good, and I think he gets a top 5 if not for that red flag. He was moving forward. Wasn't as good after the red flag. So definitely, if there's a comeback driver of the year, he would definitely get votes from me. I just think he's looked really good this year. Does Wu do that front wing check pre-race or post? They'll go around and check before the race and tell you to fix it. I also got a call today. John Westbrook called me. I don't think he'd be upset that I'm telling or relaying this story. His front nose wing was off pre-race, and they told him to fix it. He used a different company. It was a different nose wing, different company, and it sat different. And he was I believe 3/8 over, something like that, and they fixed it. So I'm more in favor of the checking it beforehand. But, Mike Hess brought up a good point. He said, it's not our job to make these cars legal. He's not wrong. Everybody can check it. They have the tool there. And I can tell you this, on Thursday night, pre-race or before the night started, Gravel's crew member went over and got the template to check it. It's there. High Limit gives it to you no matter what. So if you make a change to your car, check it. Plus, there's the plumb bob you can use. So, again, I agree with both sides. It's not a huge issue for me because you're responsible for your race car. Now, could stuff happen during the race? Yes. But I will tell you this. Mike Hess pulled a little bit on that wing. He pulled on that wing and it didn't really move a lot. So Mike I don't believe, I stood there the whole, Mike didn't want to DQ them. And if it would have been less, if it would have been like a quarter, I don't think he would have. So, there was ample opportunity. All right. Will on line 6. Will, what's happening?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing okay.
I just wanted to talk about HK Classic.
Okay.
And I thought, what's that?
Yeah, no, go ahead. Howard Katie.
Oh, okay. I'm not coming across yelling, right?
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead.
Okay. To me, it's a marquee event. $10,000. It's a race to celebrate a legend on the West Coast, and they made it a back gate race. They had I think 4 divisions both nights, maybe 5, and they just barely got done. Well, they actually went over curfew on the first night, and second night I know they went over unless it's not 10 o'clock on Saturday. But it just made it for a poor show, and the track went rubber down.
Yeah, I'm going to tell everybody, stop putting a ton of support divisions on your big shows. Stop it. They're not big anymore then. They're not.
I agree.
just I didn't like when the Kings Royal used to have the NRA sprints there. The NRA or the whatever they were, the Sprint Invaders. I didn't like it.
Right.
Well,
I'm sure. I'm sure that Watsonville Ocean Speedway is not the only place.
Sure.
It's just a bummer, that they could have had a really good race. It paid a lot of money, even though only one guy came from out of state.
Yeah.
But it was just ruined by just too many, and the track just couldn't take it, especially on a 2-day show.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. Again, I keep an eye on California racing as much as I can, and I'm not surprised Justin Sanders swept the weekend, and he's really good at Ocean. But yeah, I'm not a fan of multiple support divisions on a big show. It just drags the night down. And look, people aren't paying to see that. They're paying to see the Premier Division, because if they weren't, then the support divisions would be the headliner. Simple as that. So
Right.
there you go.
Right. I totally agree with what you said.
So it's
Well, thank you for taking my call.
anytime, Will. Thank you very much. All right. Wrap up a couple more questions here before I duck out. I got to do a 90 at 9 again. How can Nick Hoffman and Rigsby talk about sprint cars at Eldora? Well, I mean, I think they, I'm not going to say they can. I mean, Michael Rigsby watches sprint car races all the time. I'm sure Nick Hoffman does as well. Now, my opinion of what they say, here's the problem. Sprint car fans don't like fuel stops. Okay, and you're going to have fuel stops. They don't like them. They don't like them in PA. They don't like them on a national level. They don't like them. They're used to seeing them for late models, or they can run 100-lap races. That's fine. Sprint cars can't. They just can't do it. It's different. It's a different division. I'm in favor of 40 laps, and that's it. It's about it for me. The Knoxville Nationals, the 50-lap Knoxville Nationals, and the fuel stop in the middle, I don't hate it. I don't like it. I'm indifferent to it, surprisingly. Usually I have an opinion on everything. I do not have an opinion on it. I understand both sides. It's not a hill I die on either way. It just isn't. I like the 40-lap Kings Royal. They could only go 55 with what's going on in with the motors and everything else. I think they need to. I would like to know what that 55 laps was based on. Was it based on a 28-gallon tank or a 30 or a 33? That's what I want to know. And that's my fault for not asking. I should have asked. So, again, they can talk about it. I mean, I don't think you can't tell them not to talk about it. I mean, Rigsby runs Flow Racing. They have a ton of sprint car races. He's earned the right to talk and say whatever he wants. Nick Hoffman's been around the block. I've never talked to him, obviously, but he's on the Pitbull deal. I'm sure he's educated enough to talk. But I don't agree with it because, again, fans hate fuel stops. So you're not going to piss off the fans by having 100-lap races. And quite honestly, the fact that it's $200,000 to win a race and only 40 laps, who cares? I have never heard anybody complain about that in sprint car racing. Never. I've never heard it. Ever. So I'm not going to start now. Any change to the 69K and not being at Knoxville? No, not as of this week. I talked to Kreitz, and as of now, the plan isn't to go. They've taken trips to Vegas, Volusia, Texas. They're going to Texas again, I believe. They've been to Eldora. That's a lot of traveling for that team. So, no, they will not be at Knoxville as far as I know. Where do you think Gio Scelzi will end up in 2026? What about Zeb Wise? Is back problems endless injuries for drivers such as for Tyler Courtney? Look, I think I was told that's Tyler Courtney's third back injury. He's going to make a full recovery, which we're glad. And I expect him to be back in the car. Racers race. And I've been around Tyler Courtney enough that I feel comfortable saying that he's going to race again. And, if that's what he wants to do, that's great. He's a really, really, really good sprint car driver. He's come a long way in a very short amount of time, and it shows how talented he is. He's again, a top 10 guy in the country. As for Gio, I don't know where he ends up in 2026. Obviously, everybody's talking about the 14. I don't know what the contract situation is there or what the particulars are. I guess that's an option if they decide to move on from Spencer Baston. I could see it coming. I could see maybe somebody letting go of a driver to get Gio. Somebody else. I mean, you're always looking to upgrade, and if you feel Gio Celsi's an upgrade, then you might go after him. I think we could see a little bit of that with him. Zeb wise, look, Zeb seems really content doing what he's doing. I don't know if you see him come back next year. I mean, only he can answer that. I think he still loves racing. Obviously, if he didn't, he wouldn't have been at the King's Royal this weekend. I just, he's enjoying life. So more power to him. Should Kofoid take some responsibility for the crash on lap 1 at the Joker's Jackpot? I feel there was no excuse for him to go from bottom to top around cars that close at the start. Unacceptable. I can only talk to the guy. And I do think Kofoid was visibly shaken up after the wreck when he talked on Mike. I talked to him the next day about it. And look, he's running it through his mind. He was watching Tanner Holmes and he thought he didn't think he'd come down. And so when he went up, Tyler was, I guess, left front was there. And at that point, it's a blind spot. I think people forget there's blind spots in these cars. You don't know who's there. I think sometimes we have to keep that in mind. Now, if we're going to assess blame in every crash, I mean, we can do that. I'm sure Buddy probably, in fact, I know Buddy wishes it wouldn't have happened, not only for Tyler Courtney, but for his car as well and the other 4 cars who were involved in it. So, yeah, I'm sure he accepts for some responsibility. Again, all I can do is ask the guys what happened, what they were thinking, and that's what he told me. And I don't think he would be upset with me saying that. Wasn't on the record, but it wasn't off the record. And, Buddy's a really talented driver, and I just think it was one of those situations. Everyone's saying drivers bringing this midget mentality to 410 winged racing. I'm not buying it. Do you really think those drivers' intent is to wreck people? Lots of young midget drivers, first, second year 410s. I don't think they mean to wreck people. It's a midget mentality does not mean you want to wreck people. It just is a different style of racing. I mean, let's face it. Watch a midget race. It's slide and stop. They in a lot of cases, they slide and stop in front of a guy. So it's not that they want to wreck people. I don't think anybody goes out and says, I'm going to wreck that guy. I don't think that goes on as much as people think. I think it's just a style where racing's close, you're aggressive, and you maybe take some chances in situations that either you shouldn't or it's too close. So the quote unquote midget mentality, at least in my opinion, is that you kind of throw caution to the wind more. And it's just a style. It's not that you want to wreck people. It's just a style you develop because that's what you have to do to win there. And it just carries over. I also don't think there's a ton of midget drivers in 410 sprint car racing. Not a ton. It's not like we have 15 guys there. And I don't think I think, okay. And again, Dr. Midnight brought it up. I thought he said it well. You just don't want, just clear him with the slide job. Okay. Just clear him. How about that? Just clear him. Wait another lap and clear him. There you go. Why does the Woo allow so many crew members per team on the track during an open red? It only takes 1-2 crew guys to fill up the car with fuel. They do it because they can't police it. Their reason is they don't have enough officials to accurately and responsibly police every car. That's the reasoning. So now you could argue, well, it'll police itself. Well, yeah, maybe. Can't let the inmates run the asylum. So I'm okay with it. That's not what bothers me. It bothers me there's too many open reds, too many fuel stops. That bothers me more. Need a Jeff Shepard deep dive, and Troy Camp would be a good one too. Yeah, I mean, I have a bunch of guys on my list. I'm actually working on, as the show's going on, I'm getting text messages with our next deep dive guy. I just got to figure out when I'm going to do it. That's kind of the hard part. But hopefully we'll have that done for Thursday night at 7:00. Nationals is like a combo of a county fair, Woodstock, and a reunion. It's a sprint car fan's heaven. Don't forget there is a detour on Highway 14. Get your T-shirts on Wednesday to beat this. For the best selection. Yeah, I agree on all that. I agree with all that. Just it's a happening, and it's the reason it's the biggest race of the year. And what a driver gets paid in the end, that's not what it's about out there. Don't worry, 200,000 is good, but there's more bigger races from a monetary standpoint. It's about winning Knoxville. How much of a shot in the arm is this going to be for Anthony Macri and Team Macri? That was a big one to win off the porch. I will say that I'm going to go. It definitely wouldn't hurt a Hall of Fame resume down the road. Definitely doesn't hurt. And I think Anthony's good. I think he's no longer the kid who can't run outside of Pennsylvania. I didn't think that for the last 2-3 years. I watched him win at 34 Raceway against a good high limit field. I watched him finish 5th at the Nationals last year. I mean, he won the Rudine race outside of Pennsylvania. He's good. He has a good team, good equipment, and he's a good driver. And he's learned to run the bottom. He's learned to run the middle. He can do whatever's asked. And I just think you're going to see more of the same. I think you're going to see him be among the top feature winners every year. Yeah, okay. He wins in Pennsylvania. It's not like it's easy to win here. Even if the drivers aren't maybe as good as they were when you had Hodnett, DeWeese in his prime, Todd Schaefer, Chad Layton, and Jeff Shepard, and Fred Raymer, and all those guys. Yeah, okay, that might have been better, but it's still not easy winning here because, the tracks are different. Guys, Troy Wagaman's come along. He won last weekend again. Macri's going to be good. He's going to be good for a long time. And I think this just solidifies it. And I think maybe it shut a lot of people up more than anything. Where's Callum Williamson? That's a good question. I would assume back in Australia. I can't answer that one. How about a shout out to Briggs Danner? Yeah, he won a Silver Crown race. I think Briggs Danner, again, up and coming guy, a guy to watch. Like to see him in a wing sprint car more, but he's a good one. I mean, he's very versatile. Again, showed it this week by winning a Silver Crown race. I agree. I think Briggs Danner is a good driver. It's a shame there aren't more winged rides for him because there just aren't a lot of winged rides out there. So, but no, good point. It's good to bring that up. All right. What else do we got? I'm not from PA. What is the status of sprint cars at Sealands Grove? I had Woo tickets for Sealands Grove last year until look, they're still trying to find their way. They're still, they have a race this Sunday, I believe, after the World of Outlaws event. I don't know if I would have scheduled it that weekend because a lot of Pennsylvania guys or a lot of Pennsylvania fans, go to Eldora. We're coming off Speed Week. We're still in that frame. We have outlaw shows at BAPS and 2 at Williams Grove this week, and the weather looks good. Knock on wood, of course. But Selinsgrove, I mean, it's going to take time. They were in a bad situation. Got to give them time to try and build it back up and see what they got. I wish them the best. All right. Okay, Jim on line 7. Jim, what do you got?
Hey, Jeremy, is it time to start slowing these cars down at Eldora and some of these fast half miles?
No, I mean, they're not breaking track records. I don't want to be knee jerk with it. I don't think it's a speed thing.
Yeah.
I saw Kenny Jacobs go out into the pond at Eldora. I mean, I've seen some.
On another note, I think some of these drivers need to look at somebody like Kyle Larson and Rico Abreu and Carson Macedo and how they conduct themselves in interviews.
Mm-hmm.
They're fabulous. They thank their sponsors. They thank everybody. And a lot of them, unfortunately, don't. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of guys who do a good job in interviews. And then I just think, how much are you used to getting interviewed? I think David Gravel does okay in his interviews. Rico Abreu says all the right things and the fans love him. I mean, I think he's the most beloved driver in the sport.
Anthony Macri as well. He's funny, he's good, and I really like him.
Anthony Macri's interest, because I've seen this, it was funny. Anthony Macri is, I don't want to say shy. I just think he's being interviewed was uncomfortable for him for a long time. But he's getting so much better at it because he wins more. And I thought this weekend was his best interviews ever. I didn't get a chance to tell him because he was swamped, but when I see him tomorrow at Babs, I'm going to tell him. I thought his interviews on television were really good, and I thought the one after the King's Royal was good as well. So no, Anthony Macri's come a long way, not only on the track, but doing interviews.
Yeah, he was great. I thought so as well. And on another note, this work area stinks. It's awful. It holds up the show. I will say one thing. If somebody like, Brad Sweet or David Gravel or one of the favorites that bring a lot of people with them, a lot of sponsors, if they have a flat tire before the race, I think they should let them change it, or even during the race. But other than a flat tire, forget about changing wings and all that other crap. It's just waste time. If you break something or you hit something, you're out of the race.
I like the old rule. You get 2 laps for a tire, but nothing else. And I had a discussion with an official, a prominent official in the industry at Eldora, and I said, and it was brought up, but people want to see their favorite, because it was about provisionals. And they said, they want to see their favorites. Well, they saw them in heat races and qualifying, and they didn't measure up. So there's no evidence that says fans are going to stop coming if their driver doesn't make it because they couldn't take a provisional, because those guys mostly make it all the time anyway. And there's no data or anything that shows that the work area brings fans. None. Nobody's taken a poll. I've seen no poll. So yes, 2 laps, tire, that's it. I'm okay with the tire.
Right.
Just
right.
Building a whole car and it just taking forever. Guys are stopping on the track on purpose. It happens more than ever, and it's because the work area allows it. Stop the work area for everything, just tires. That's it.
But as far as slowing them down, I know you. That's probably not the answer, and I realize they're not going as fast as they used to. I mean, but they got to do something, because 4 or 5 people getting hurt on the same weekend. Maybe a restrictor plate. Can you really tell whether a guy's running 14 seconds or 13 seconds, or even 15 seconds versus 13 seconds at Eldora?
That's not a bad
Not many
point.
people can. Not many. I can, but not many inexperienced fans or new fans can tell the difference.
No, and that's a good point. I can't argue that. No, you're there. That's a good point.
They all look really fast to me now.
Yeah, I know everything looks fast at Eldora.
Well, I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate your responses. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you very much. All right, we'll take 3 more comments or 3 more questions, and then I got to get rolling here. How did we gloss over Cole Macedo winning at Fremont, then dumping it hard after the checkers? Well, I think we glossed over it because it feels like it happened a year ago. No, good for him. He's really good at Fremont. He was a track champion at Fremont. I'm not overly surprised. I'm not surprised he ran well. That he won, okay. But after the checkers thing was because I think it was it Chris Andrews, I believe, had a flat in front of him and he just couldn't avoid him. So, yeah, I mean, I don't, but I'm not surprised he did well at Fremont. It's a place he's really good at. The only driver that could do what Kyle Larson's doing now is Jan Opperman. He could control a race car anywhere on the racetrack. I don't know. I think Steve Kinser could do the same. I watched it for years. I think Doug Wolfgang could do it. Sammy Swindell could do it. Those guys were really, really good. I'm not saying Jan couldn't. I'm Jan Opperman, obviously. But those 3 guys were, who are on my Mount Rushmore of sprint car racing, could do it. Steve Kinser could do anything in a sprint car. Trust me. People forget how good he really was. And it's easy to do. He hasn't raced in, 14 years, 12 years, whatever it is. And really his heyday, so to speak. It was incredible to watch. Sammy Swindell, I've seen some of the most dominating performances I've ever seen have been Sammy Swindell. Nobody could pistol whip a field like that guy. And Wolfgang, probably one of the most best technical drivers I've ever seen. So, remember when sex was safe and racing was dangerous? Well, some guys think they are bulletproof nowadays. Yeah, it takes it when you take a couple hard ones, you start to, So, yeah, I'm not going to disagree with that. One more. Do we know the plans for the 69K this week? Darren Pittman will be in the car at Williams Grove. Darren Pittman will be back. So tuning up for the National Open. And I don't root on guys, but I almost hope he wins the National Open this year. Jeez. All the second place finishes. My God. I almost feel bad when he finishes second. So, but I'm going to pull the plug on the show. Thank you to everybody who joined the chat, everyone who called. I appreciate it. And we'll be back next week with another show. I thank you very much.